This is my second home, Sweden. Sweden has been my second home for more than 15 years. And still, after all these years, Sweden never stops to amaze me. This film is a tribute to Sweden, Dalsland in particular. A tribute to the thousands of lakes, mountains and all its wildlife. The wilderness and its unpredictable climate. But most of all, my passion for fishing.
Oh, yep.
Hey!
Jezus.
Hold up, let's head back to the beginning. Our journey starts in the north and we will travel all the way down south, so we need someone to drop us off. Fortunately, Andy will give us a ride up north, and at the end of our journey, Andy will pick us up in Tussen. Andy is owner and founder of Sportfishing Dalsland. Sportfishing Dalsland offers world-class fishing year-round, whether it's ice fishing, spin fishing in spring and autumn, or trolling in the summer. Sportfishing Dalsland has a wide range of houses, rental boats, and has a couple of experienced fishing guides working for them. Besides the amazing fishing possibilities, the Dalsland province has some of the best nature Europe has to offer.
Tack och lov.
Ja, men efterfrågan är väldigt stor.
Skål.
So we're here at Dalsland Canal expedition, something we were really looking forward for several years actually. I pitched the idea to Frans and I was really happy that he was so excited about taking this adventure with me, because it's not something you can do with everyone, I think, going into the wilderness for 9 days, fishing with a tent, or 2 tents actually, we'll be sleeping separately, but still. But to me, when it came closer and closer, the day that we do depart and you start to do all the final preparations, it starts to sink in that, you're 9 days out in the wilderness. I've been camping when I was a little kid, but never, as remote as this. And we're so dependent of the weather and good preparations, good gear. Do we have enough food? Do we have enough fuel? But I think we planned everything correctly. In terms of fishing, I'm not that scared about the fishing. This trip is all about the adventure, all about having fun. And yeah, it will be an adventure for sure. We started out in the north, gonna start in Foxen, which is where we are today. And we're just gonna slowly head down south, travel roughly 250 kilometers, I think. And then we will head out towards Västra, and in the end, stop in Tussen, get picked up by Andy again, and go back to the Netherlands. I'm watching my rod tips, but I'm a bit anxious now because we just started fishing.
Hoppa!
First fish while trolling. We missed one, and then this black golden beast took a 40 centimeter trout. Awesome fish.
For a few hours with nothing. Yeah. We now have something.
Ik zie hem overkomen.
Pure Swedish gold. That's what we came for.
No. I don't know if it's a small one or a big one, but... And gone.
No fucking way. You might be wondering what on earth they are using for trolling, but we explained it in another video and we linked it in the top corner. Oof, look at this.
Bent.
Shit. One quick look at the weather forecast showed us that the predictions changed completely. Thunderstorms and rain were rolling in and we decided to head back and set up camp. We found a bay that had a small beach and sheltered us from the wind. It's important to find a good beach because we want to get as close as possible to shore but not damage the boat. We quickly set up camp before the rain and thunder comes in. Prepare some final food and get some rest for the next day. Morning, we survived the thunderstorms and we survived the rain. Tent stayed dry. Weather forecast says it's gonna stay dry the entire day. Sun will come up. Doesn't look like it, but it will. Tents can dry. We start to do some fishing, but we got another challenge up ahead. Over the night, the wind pushed the boat closer and closer to the shore. Now the tail section of the engine is just drilled into the sandy beach over here, which is okay. But you know, the entire boat just hopped on a little more and more towards the beach. So I think we got a bit of a workout up ahead. So let's start pushing this thing. Wacht op. Ja, push maar. Day 2, let's go. The sun is coming through. We slept well. Can feel my back a bit, but slept quite okay. Thunder was okay. And pants are overrated, as you can tell. I mean, you need good fishing clothes. Just some boxers. Fucking thunderstorms. Typical example of how the weather forecast is completely off. It's gonna be sunny today, hardly any wind today. 22 degrees. Advised to put on some sunblock. There you go. Fucking weather forecast. feel blessed with the small amount of sunlight that we just got to pack up our gear, move camp, go to lake number 2. It's like a 20-kilometer drive with the boat, go through a lock, and then hopefully fishing will improve as well, because it was a bit slow today. We had 3 fish?
Only 3 fish. Yeah.
3 fish, yeah, in the morning. We started out late, but it was raining the entire time. On to the next. Can't get any worse.
There's a lot more lakes to explore.
Oh yeah, we got a ton of ground to cover, so we're gonna go. The entire Dalsland Canal is actually a string of lakes connected to each other through more than 30 different locks, divided over 17 lock stations. These locks compensate a difference in water level of 66 meters in total. You can pay a single entry fee for each lock, or you can buy a ticket to travel the entire Dalsland Canal, giving you passage through all its locks. That's Frans is the sandwich master, as you can see. And we just switched to a new lake. Well, not an entirely new lake. We fished here before in the past. We hate it. We can name it. It's called Lelång. It's about 50 kilometers long. And I don't know. They did a lot of pike culling competitions here. Which, you know, you don't measure the fish, you just kill it and you deliver a big plastic bag at the end of the day, and whoever has the most kilograms wins the tournament. They did it for a couple of years. I think they, you know, outlawed it, which is good. But I've trolled here in the past and I don't have that much good memories of Lelång. I actually caught my first meter plus pike in Sweden on Lelång. So they are here. It's big, it's long, it's deep, it's clear water. It should be pike, but somehow we hate it. We've been making jokes about it. For several years. We need to cross it. If we want to fish the entire canal, we need to cross it. So that's what we're gonna do. And there's another fucking rainstorm coming in. Like a soepie ouwe. That's cool. And I'm gonna put the camera down and add some fish.
Ouch! What a fucking tank, man. She's heavy as well. It's crazy. Well, new lake, went through the lock. Had one rod that was going into the deep and the other one's all shallow. And then this rod was in the rod holder, really bent. Sean says, "Hey, I think you've got a fish." He takes it, quite some weight. Well, this is the result. A big one on the perch colored Maximus. Ja, de kop is groot. Afspoelen. All in the game. Pike strikes back.
It was worth it, right?
Yeah, first fish of this lake. We were saying it was a shitty lake. Well, on to the rest of the Dalsland Canal expedition.
What a start.
Crazy.
Looking for a campsite, we just realized it was getting a bit dark. And then we looked on Google Maps and then we noticed that actually we got a good dock where we can park everything. If we want to, we can sleep inside. We're just gonna hang our wet stuff to dry and set up camp. Lucky for us, our tents are set up quite easily. We quickly go to bed and hope to get some more sleep than the night before. Once again, the weather forecast was completely off. A storm kicked in and kept us awake the entire night. Heavy winds slammed the boat against the docks, and it would be a challenge to steer the boat safely out of this shallow, rocky area. But first, some breakfast. Breakfast was easy, but now the hard part. Getting away without damaging the boat. Are at lake number 3. There's a really gentle lock keeper who provided us with a cart so we can refuel the tanks. It's cool to go from a lock distance. Quite a big tourist attraction. There's a lot of tourists and canoes. And downside is I'm on antibiotics, so just to clear things up, guys, I'm on antibiotics due to a tick bite, hopefully to prevent Lyme disease. The doctor said that I couldn't sit in direct sunlight. So with this trip, pretty great timing, right? The skin is burning up like hell. I can put sunblock on it, but it doesn't seem to help. Judging by Frans's face, I'm not the only one getting sunburned. So. It looks like he can get in, so let's go. Across the entire Dalsland Canal, you don't find many gas stations close to the water. If you want to refuel, you need to use small tanks like these.
So we just went through another lock in the Dalsland Canal and we set up base camp. We're now gonna go for some trolling. It's midsummer tonight, so that means a lot of light right through the night. So we just want to keep on trolling till the middle of the night and see what happens.
As you can see, we decided to do some night fishing. But so far we had 0 takes. So far the night trolling hasn't produced anything. Thought it would be a good idea to try on a lake close by. Give it a go. It's midsummer, so why not? Water temperature is quite cold, it's 14 degrees. You would think that you would see more signals coming close to the surface like you usually see in the Netherlands when it gets dark, but not much going on. We're getting some signals here. Look at this. Oh, sand. It is midsummer, but we don't have any alcohol on board. Unfortunately. If I didn't have my antibiotics, I would definitely bring like a ton of gin tonic, but no, I can't drink anything. It's good for my liver, good for my health, but it takes the fun out of it as well. So. We started to get tired, like really tired, and due to the lack of sleep, that wasn't really surprising. So we decided to call it a night, pack our gear, and head back to our campsite to start a campfire, because what's camping without some fire? One thing we really needed to get used to is the fact that it just doesn't seem to get dark around midsummer. We light up our campfire and take this moment to reflect on the trip so far. How the fishing has been, but also the total outdoor experience. We're not into the numbers, that's not why we're fishing here. We're going for the big pike. It's all based on the conditions, and I've talked to some guys that were here the week before. They had a hard time, and I'm already happy with the result we have so far, especially with the big fish that we caught. And yeah, it's been an amazing trip so far, and it feels like we're taking it a bit more easy than normal. Still do some hardcore fishing, but also taking the time to do stuff like this, and we still got the results. And yeah, we're a bit more laid back. If fishing is shit, yeah, let's do something else. Excited for the upcoming days, because we have a couple of spots where we haven't fished before, and those have been on our list for quite some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm also excited about the rest of the Dalsland Canal.
Yeah, everything's really accessible. Friendly people helping you at the locks, supermarkets on the route, and gas stations. So you're in the wilderness, but not totally alone.
Yeah, every second it complicates super slowly. I suffocate. I'm so lonely and phony to those that know me. Like I'm forever fast into a bad trip. Got caught up in the madness. I think I let it get the best of me. I need a remedy.
That's really nice.
A million friends. I got a million follows. That's 2 million reasons to drink a million bottles. I cut a million ties to cut a million lies. So that's 2 million reasons I finally feel so alive. I got a million friends, I got a million follows. So that's 2 million reasons to drink a million bottles. I cut a million ties to cut a million.
So we left our campsite, and now we have a 18-kilometer drive up towards Bangsfors, where we hopefully find a gas station close to the water. Otherwise we have to walk around with these. banks force, and then there will be like 4 or 5 different locks that you need to go through. But we got a channel between the 2 locks that we really wanted to fish. We never fished that before actually. Then we're off to Lelång, which we know that it holds really big fish. But first, an 18-kilometer drive, so let's go. We make use of a gas station close to the water in Bangsfors, and we store enough fuel for what's left of the trip. One of the reasons we love to use Suzuki engines is their amazing reliability and fuel efficiency. Over the years, Suzuki has never let me down. A comfortable thought out in the wilderness. Turns out the guy from the gas station has some spare tanks for us.
I just told Sean we don't know the name of this lake. I told him, well, maybe there's only small fish here. And it looked so that way for about 15 minutes. And then something came and took my, well, Sean's on my rod.
Yeah, it's not fucked with my
40 centimeter trout.
Seems like a good fish.
Looks like a good fish. Holy shit, man! Yes. This is no child's play.
I am willing to make a prediction. I said this is 1.20 meters plus.
I think so too. I think it's gonna...
No, it's not gonna come off.
I've got a bad feeling.
No, it's not gonna come off.
I felt those little toom, toom.
Yeah, but that's fine, that's fine. If you feel them now, you won't feel them again. That's good.
This is the Savage Gear Custom Predator 240 grams edition.
Jezus. Kijk, kom maar hier op de rand zitten.
We went to a new lake. Simply put out the rods. It was a bit late. We were even doubting to set up camp and just start a fire, but first take was this ginormous fish. We've got to measure it and weigh it.
What a fucking giant! Look at this beast! Look at the belly! It's an insane fucking fish!
Man!
Let's measure and weigh her and then...
Insane.
Insane! The take was quite subtle, like a small tap, but she just inhaled that bait. I have to say, this is one of my most beautiful pikes I ever caught. You know, I caught quite a few over the years, but never seen something so ridiculously fat. There she goes again. The lines got tangled up and we're just untangling the lines, and then I felt like a small tap. This is not a big meter plus pike on the line. Look at this. What the fuck?
What the hell is this?
To flip it to one side. Oh, she's not happy with me. Sick. Just 4 meter plus pike. 127, Jesus, 14 kilograms. Then a hook into that 1 meter 13, which was 13 kilograms. Then this one. Since the fish seemed to be biting, we decided to give night trolling another shot. Even though we were really tired after a long day traveling, going through different locks and making sure we would meet the 4 o'clock deadline when the final lock would close down. On this lake we have seen the fishing pressure increase over the years, but the results have declined, either in size or in numbers. Maybe it's because of the fact that the pike grew smarter, started to get wary and focused on feeding in the darkness. We only tried this for a couple of times in the Netherlands, but without any results. Most of the time in the Netherlands the water is just packed with debris in the water, dead vegetation or plastic and other stuff, and makes it nearly impossible to troll during the night. A double strike, one on the Maximus and one on the new hard bike from Savage Gear. Frans was asleep in the sleeping bag and just... shit. Let's get another one. Look at him standing in his sleeping bag. Like a pig. Opa. It's quite exciting actually, trolling in the night. Double strike. Would have thought that would happen. We're taking shifts now. Frans is taking a nap in a sleeping bag at the tip of the boat, and I'm driving the boat. Finally, it took 4 fucking takes. It isn't in the bag yet, but 4 fucking takes to finally catch a fish in the night. On the black and silver jerkbait on the inner corner when I was taking a turn, getting closer to the waypoints where we already hooked some fish. Oh yeah. So happy with this one. Fucking cool. They're back. What a fish. Great belly. Gave Frans a splash. She was unhooking my fish. Totally inhaled the Maximus. Look at the back on this thing, by the way. I just put my lures out. Big 40 centimeter trout. 40 centimeter. 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 40 Feels heavy. I think it's the biggest of the night. It's almost 3 o'clock.
It's almost 3 o'clock at night. Wow.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
This is the first big fish of the night.
Oh, this would be so cool if we could get a meter plus during the night.
Wow, this camera makes it look so light, but it's really freaking dark.
It's really freaking dark. Out. Let's get her back. We troll using our Suzuki petrol engine, but we need to slow down the boat with our Minn Kota electric engine in the front. With the Rebelcell range extender, we can keep our Rebelcell lithium battery charged throughout the trip.
Fish number how many in the middle of the night?
It is 3:15. 10 minutes after the last fish. So. Maximus.
Sean was now trying to get some sleep. But the fish every sound you hear is now fish in your mind. It takes quite some toll being up all day and close your eyes, get a little sleep and then you get woken up again. So you've got some stuff for that. Een ouderwets Frans plaatje.
On the Juden! And on the Woodwolf. That's pretty cool.
Another one bites the Maximus.
You look a bit sleepy.
Again. Sleeping helps.
You were away for like 10 minutes and then
Yeah.
comes another one.
Op de doombel.
No way. On the fucking doombel.
The Maximus was delivering all the time. So I thought, well, the doombel is practically a baby Maximus. Why not put on the doombel?
What were you doing before this take?
Sleeping.
Yeah, we're taking shifts because even though it was super fun to fish in the night, it was quite tiring. So I had the first sleep shift in the morning. Now it was his turn. But somehow the guy that sleeps gets the takes.
Yeah, I was only down for 10 minutes maybe.
Yeah, you should sleep more often, man.
Yeah.
It's a small one again.
Yeah. I think Sean had some strikes.
So this is the final log for today. Yesterday we fished on Lelång. We fished the entire night, which was quite exhausting, but an experience on its own. We had great fun. It's super cool. It's not pitch black, but it's dark. Super cool to get some takes in the dark. And first 2 hours, nothing happens. And Frans was sleeping, and I was having my second thoughts about should we actually do this? Shouldn't we just roll out the sleeping bag or set up camp? But then we started catching like maniacs, and that was pretty cool. And then we just went straight for this lock system, which took us quite some time because we arrived at the first lock at 9 o'clock, and it's almost 12 o'clock now, so when you do a trip like this you have to calculate the time to travel between these locks. We didn't fish, well we fished in the morning on Lelång before 9 o'clock. And now we're finally at the end of Dalsland, so we're gonna fish on Håverud, which is a lake that's been on my list for a very long time. On Frans's list as well. It's hard to reach, there's no boat ramp, but it holds big fish. We're gonna go for it. I'm excited. So we got our new campsite. I think we found a great spot. It's not ideal for setting up our tents, but we need to improvise with all the rocks. But look at the view. The view is pretty damn awesome. Check this out. That was pretty fucking cool. We had high expectations of Håverud, but the thing with high expectations is that you usually get disappointed. We trolled on the lake, only missed a good fish on a 40 centimeter trout and decided to pack up camp, go to Håverud and go through the locks. We have to go full speed at some parts, but that doesn't mean we don't appreciate the stunning surroundings. It's so cool to see all the rock slides, the beaver burrows and all the other beautiful stuff that nature has to offer. Now about to enter, I think the most famous lock of the Dalsland Canal. It's pretty impressive. It's at Håverud and it has 4 different levels and the drop in water level is quite impressive. The old Dalsland Canal is made in the 1800s, so it's even more impressive that that canal is being built so many years ago and it's still functional as it is. And then we're close to Västra actually, to Tussen. So our journey is almost ending. This feels like a big step towards the end. Mixed feelings. I'm glad that we made it. I'm really happy how it turned out. But I'm also kind of sad that it's almost over. So yeah. Locals. We bought a big loaf of bread. Apparently it was like 3 weeks over schedule. Oh, and then naked Swedish lady swimming here. Alright. Things you see in Sweden. Yeah, it's the final 2.5 days I think. We're gonna do some trolling and tomorrow we're gonna do some casting as well. We're just gonna end the day with some trolling, set up camp, get some sleep, and probably start early in the morning. Well, we did a good thing today. We made them happy.
Yo, fish.
Only small ones today. This seems to be the average size. And like so many times before during this trip, the weather forecast wasn't exactly accurate. Before we could set up camp, thunder and rain came in, so we needed to find shelter in a nearby cabin, hoping that we could stay dry until the next morning. We managed to stay dry throughout the night in this small yet comfortable public cabin. We patched our wounds, charged our batteries and started packing to head out. There will be a storm coming in the next day, so we decided to head out to Västra today. One day earlier than planned, but the fishing and traveling on that big lake will be nearly impossible if the weather predictions prove to be right. For once. We start where we left off yesterday, trolling, sitting out the rain and hoping we can catch another big pike. But as it turned out, we only catch the smaller ones today. So we slowly head out to Västra to cast in some of the bays and the rocky areas and hopefully find bigger fish standing more shallow. Suddenly it hits us. This is the final log of the Dalsland expedition. After this we'll head out to Västra and that will be the end of our journey actually. Which means we will head back to the Netherlands, a completely different world. Back into that busy, hectic city life where there's no real peace and quiet. Not the nature that you can experience in Dalsland or in Sweden for that matter. Before we head out to Västra we make one more short stop. Visiting an old shipbuilding site, which is really interesting to see how they used to build ships like this. We eat some food, enjoy the good weather while it lasts, and then get ready for some hardcore casting.
In de waterplanten, maar ik heb het idee dat er nog niet zo heel veel fonteinkaas staat, hè? Oh, ja. Mooi, hè?
Serieus joh?
Ja man, ik zit er de andere kant op te kijken, omdat ik aan het sturen ben. Ik zit naar mijn koerslijn te kijken. Pok. Yo, Anna. Oi, 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 oi. Yo, Anna. Mooi vis weer. Lijpe aanbeet man. Echt gewoon een kunk vast. Is niet zo groot, maar.
Just swapped to another burbot. The golden, all black and gold color. Not a good fish. Took the burbot. I think it's like the fourth cast or something. After Frans lost like fish close to 1.10 m. Followed this bait. Did another cast towards it and then it hit the bait and then just fights like a train. Good looking fish. Not the biggest of the day, but happy with it. It inhaled that burbot again. full take. Let's unhook her and get her back. Look at this.
Gone.
Nailed it. This is actually the first time that we're fishing with the new shallow version of the 3D burbot. It's actually a prototype and it will be released later this year. But the results so far have been really good. The cool thing is that when you jerk it, instead of just going down, it has the tendency to go upwards, and then it slowly glides with the fins moving. Well, you know the deal. So we just passed the final stage of the Dalsland Canal, which is Humminbird. We didn't pass through the lock because if you have a small boat like this and you are a bit cautious, then you can go through the river. There's a lock on the side if you have a bigger boat. This one you have to be careful. There's some rocks inside. I know a couple of Dutch guys who wrecked a prop, multiples actually. Yeah, we're gonna go out to Västra now, do some spin fishing, and you know, try some spots that we have had success during the spring. Kind of bummed out that it's the final stage of our journey. On the other hand, it was a pretty cool journey, so I'm happy with the way it turned out. Happy with the fish that we caught, even though fishing wasn't priority number one. I think the journey, the adventure, and the exploring is something we looked forward to when we did, to the full potential, I think. So that's good. I think we can look back at a very successful trip, and I'm really happy with it. I think Frans stood looking at him behind the camera. What epic enough. Let's go to Västra. As we are moving closer to Västra, you can definitely tell that the terrain is changing. From high mountain-like areas, slowly it shifts towards flat areas with a lot of rock terrain, less trees, and a lot of water. Västra has a lot of water. Made it. Yeah. It's pretty insane that we went from Foxen, from Lennartsfors, all the way down to Västra and Tussen. It's been an epic journey.
We survived.
But we survived.
We had some setbacks.
Well, we had some setbacks, yeah. It's definitely. Most of all were really highlights. Yeah. Let's head back to the boat ramp. Andy's gonna pick us up. We're gonna have a good night rest at the house and a shower. Fuck. Thanks for watching, guys.